It started with a phone call at 3:14 a.m., the kind that splits sleep in half and never lets it return. Detective Marcus Hale stared at the vibrating phone on his nightstand, his heartbeat keeping pace with its shudder. Atlanta PD's homicide line. That was never good. He answered on the third ring. Detective Hale, it's dispatch. We've got a possible 1054, Peachtree Heights. Neighbors reported shots fired. Female victim. Marcus sat up instantly. Name? Claire Morrison, 36, married. Husband's on scene. Husband on scene. Those three words carried their own weight in Hale's world. Statistically, the odds were never kind to spouses. He threw on jeans, a black jacket, and his badge. Outside, the city still slept, except the sirens. By the time he reached Peachtree Heights, the street glowed blue and red with the rhythm of emergency lights. The house, a pristine white brick colonial, stood like something from a magazine cover, but the air was different here. Heavy, metallic, broken. Paramedics were rolling out the gurney. The woman beneath the sheet was motionless, her auburn hair spilling from the side. Standing on the porch, pale and shaking, was David Morrison, the husband. Early 40s, perfectly pressed shirt, no tie, sleeves rolled. His expression flickered between disbelief and exhaustion. I found her like this, he stammered. I came home late from work and... He gestured helplessly toward the chaos inside. I tried CPR, but she was gone. Marcus studied him carefully. No tears, no trembling voice, just a performance rehearsed for grief. Let's talk inside, Marcus said. The living room was a museum of quiet wealth, leather sofa, framed family portraits, scented candles still burning. Nothing appeared stolen or ransacked. No forced entry. Just a shattered wine glass on the floor and a bullet lodged in the drywall behind the couch. Marcus crouched near the glass. Red wine had mixed with blood. You said you found her like this? Yes, David said. I got home from the office around midnight. She was lying there. The door was unlocked, I think. Someone must have broken in. Marcus nodded but didn't respond. He'd heard that exact line too many times. 2 hours later, while the forensics team dusted for prints, Marcus stepped outside to clear his head. The night air was thick with honeysuckle and deceit. He lit a cigarette he didn't really want and stared at the darkened street. A neighbor approached, an older woman in a robe, arms crossed tightly. Detective? She said softly. I heard arguing earlier tonight. Around 11. Sounded like them. The Morrisons? She nodded. It wasn't the first time. Marcus flicked ash into the gutter. Thank you, ma'am. That helps. By dawn, the autopsy report was in motion. Single gunshot wound to the chest. No signs of struggle. The killer had been close enough to aim with precision. But something about the scene wouldn't let Marcus go. No forced entry, no robbery, no panic. Whoever did it was calm, comfortable. He went over David's alibi again. The husband claimed he'd been working late, alone, in his downtown office. Marcus checked the office building's security feed. It showed David arriving at 8:42 p.m. and leaving at 11:08, 3 minutes from home. The next day, Marcus paid him another visit. David looked tired, maybe too tired. He poured himself coffee, but didn't offer any. Detective, I already told you everything. I know, Marcus said evenly, but I've got a few new questions. You said you came home to find your wife dead. You didn't call 911 until 12:30. That's over an hour later. Why the delay? David's jaw tightened. I was in shock. Right. And the gun registered to your name that's missing from the case in your study? I lost it last month. Marcus leaned forward. Convenient timing. David's composure cracked. Are you accusing me of killing my wife? I'm just doing my job, Marcus replied. The thing is, sometimes the truth looks a lot like guilt before it's cleaned up. When Marcus left the house, He knew he wasn't walking away from a grieving husband. He was walking away from a liar. Over the next week, the investigation peeled back the Morrison marriage like a rotten onion. Neighbors said they fought often, about money mostly. Claire had recently discovered thousands of dollars missing from their joint account. Coworkers described Claire as bright, kind, but distant lately. She'd confided in a friend that she planned to leave David. She'd said, "I can't live in a lie anymore." Marcus followed the money trail. What he found made his pulse spike. David had taken out a $500,000 life insurance policy on Claire 6 months prior. The beneficiary? Himself. Classic motive. But it wasn't enough. He needed proof. That came 2 days later from a burner phone found in David's desk drawer, one he hadn't disclosed. The messages were explicit. Job's done. Half now, half later. No cops yet. Keep your head down. The number belonged to Rico Vance, a known enforcer tied to small-time gang operations in South Atlanta. Marcus grinned grimly. Now it made sense. David hadn't just killed his wife. He'd paid someone else to do it. They moved fast. Undercover surveillance caught David meeting Rico in a parking lot near Decatur. Hidden cameras recorded the exchange, a small duffel bag for a thick envelope. When the SWAT team moved in, Rico ran. He didn't get far. Under interrogation, Rico broke within hours. "Yeah, Morrison hired me. Said his wife was going to ruin him. Divorce, money, the house, everything. I didn't want to do it, man, but he paid." "How much?" $20 grand up front. Another 20 after. "Where's the murder weapon?" "River. Under the bridge by Chattahoochee." They found it there just like he said. The ballistics matched. David Morrison was arrested in his driveway that evening. Cameras flashed. Reporters shouted. He stood there in silence, wrists cuffed behind his back, eyes hollow. When Marcus read him his rights, David whispered, "You don't understand. I loved her." Marcus looked him dead in the eye. "No, you loved her money." The trial that followed gripped Atlanta for months. David tried to claim Rico acted alone, that he was being framed, but the texts, the bank transfers, and Rico's testimony crushed his defense. The jury deliberated for just 5 hours. Guilty. On all counts. Life without parole. After the sentencing, Marcus stood outside the courthouse, the sunset bleeding across the city skyline. Another case closed. Another story of love turned lethal. He'd seen too many of them. Marriages that began with "I do" and ended with "I did it." But as the evening breeze carried the sound of distant traffic, Marcus couldn't shake one thought. For every Claire Morrison, there were 100 more stories like hers, unseen, unheard, waiting for justice. He lit another cigarette and whispered into the wind, "The truth always costs something, and in this city, silence is the highest price of all." If this story moved you, hit like to support real true crime storytelling. Subscribe for more realistic, emotional true crime stories inspired by real investigations across the U.S. Comment "Justice for Claire" if you believe no secret stays buried forever.